Okay, hello there, and welcome to another Villa Veracino SWTOR stream Andor chat, where we're gonna play some SWTOR and talk about the most recent episode of Andor that has just screened, episode 4. If you haven't seen it, we're gonna be talking about spoilers, so be warned. We're gonna play some SWTOR. We are on Coruscant. As you can see here at the background, we're outside the sort of center building in this game. We're going to be playing with some Republic Vanguard characters tonight. So I am on my Cathar Nalorka, and Matt is playing Sergeant Fhriday. What species is Fhriday?
He's a chess because he's blue.
Okay.
One of his
cool, because I can't see because you often wear helmets on your trooper characters.
Yeah, one of his ults is based on Rogue Trooper from the 2008 comics. So I can make him blue for that.
Cool.
His alt outfits. Cool. But for now, he's dressed in proper trooper gear. Quite a good look that I quite like, and not infinitely dissimilar to what you're wearing, I believe.
Yeah. We wanted to bring some Republic trooper characters for tonight, mix it up a little bit, and then we randomly discovered that our characters are wearing the same thing.
Same chess piece,
same
anyway.
Chess piece,
yeah.
And I thought it'd be fun if we're both playing Vanguards, because they're not a class I play often, so I thought, we'll mix it up a little bit, play something that's a little bit different than what we've played before, because you tend to play commandos more, and I don't often play troopers much at all either, so what a cool...
It's a fairly easy class to play. He's not my main. He's a fairly easy class to play. It's not my main, and he's not quite as organised in terms of gear and ability tree as some of my mains, but yeah, it's an easy class to play, and I think it'll be fine on these low level planets.
Yep. And I've got the cool Amban rifle that was added to the game. Of course, we see Din Djarin wielding this weapon in The Mandalorian. It's very cool. I like playing it. It's a blaster rifle in this game, not a sniper rifle, so it's a lot of fun. I've got my droid companion here, and you've got Alara.
Yes.
With a customization.
Yeah.
She looks cool.
And as you said, we're starting on Coruscant just to reflect the fact that Coruscant was one of the settings for that episode of Andor. This game is set a few thousand years prior, though.
Yeah, but it's got a similar sort of feel. I don't think Coruscant ages that differently. Yeah. Just this version. It was shortly after the Jedi Temple was attacked by Darth Malgus, as seen in that epic cinematic trailer. Whereas I guess in the Andor timeline, the Jedi Temple is not occupied by Jedi, because obviously Palpatine's in charge. So I guess we'll jump straight into it. We'll do some heroics. There's not as many heroics on Coruscant, but we'll start here and see where we end up.
It's one of the earlier planets in terms of story arc for those that visit this planet. The mobs are pretty straightforward, the heroics, even though the heroic 2+ will be pretty dead easy, but we just thought it'd be a nice place to start.
Yep.
And we'll be talking about Andor as we go. So let's jump to the first one, and we'll jump into the discussion as well. Going to go from the top to the bottom?
Yep, may as well.
So that episode of Andor, episode 4, opened straight after the preceding episode with Cassian and Luthen on board Luthen's ship, just Cassian tending to his wounds, not getting a lot of information out of Luthen, who we learn is leading very much a double life. But to get the ball rolling in terms of his recruitment with Cassian, he's taking him to the planet Aldani, where they've got an operation, a rebel operation, well underway in terms of planning and set in motion in terms of timeline and scheduling.
Yeah, a little bit cryptic. Doesn't immediately come out and say, you're going to be doing this, this, and this. We're going to be finding that out through the story.
Yeah, really interesting sort of dialogue there. It's clear that Lethan Rail knows a lot about Andor and his background, because when Cassian mentions that he served on Linbang, Lethan knows that he wasn't on the front line, said he was a cook. So he's very well informed. I like Lethan's ship on the interior as well. It's quite nice to see.
Yeah, there was some really interesting. Obviously, the first sort of episodes were all set within a similar sort of area, so they had a similar feel in the design. We're finally getting off world and seeing some different locales, different set design. I think that was really fun. Ooh, I've got a purple.
Aldani is set on location in Great Britain. I don't know the exact location off the top of my head. I may have actually mentioned it in the SWTOR podcast as things are being filmed, but it doesn't come to mind just yet. But
yeah,
really cool to see real life location used in that way.
Yeah, that planet was really quite cool. Those sweeping grass hills.
Fantastic seeing TIE fighters in low altitude atmospheric flight. It's quite fun. And we get introduced to the small rebel band based on Aldani that we got briefly revealed in the trailer.
Yeah, we find out that they're important people.
Yeah, so they're obviously a little bit apprehensive about a newbie coming on board in terms of trust and capabilities.
Yeah.
But quite an interesting setup. I guess, I mean, that part of the story doesn't progress very far because we don't get to, we get exposed to the basics of the plan in terms of stealing funds,
Yeah, towards the
payroll.
end we kind of get that.
But it's not minimum dialogue, just a sort of usual setup of tension and so forth. Introduction to a new set of characters. But the cool thing along the way is that we get a whole lot of backstory, a whole lot of interesting exposure to the Imperial ISB, Imperial Security Bureau.
Yeah.
Some recognisable faces amongst the actors portraying that. And yeah, quite clearly some tensions within the ISB about jurisdictions and rank and such like. I actually thought that was really fun to see the Empire. And so what transpires is that because the corporate security guys screwed up and actually lost quite a few of lives, the Empire's coming in and taken over.
Yeah, I think they said, what was it, 4 and a civilian.
Yeah. So that with that all taking place in this episode, we're actually seeing quite a few threads develop. Previously had one main thread with one main planetary focus with some flashbacks. Now I've got the ISB. We've actually got Sil Khan, the corporate's he's a deputy inspector, I think was his rank, being sent home, basically fired, no longer has a role, which really is curious. Opens up all sorts of possibilities as to where they're going to go with his character.
Yeah.
So not a hint of a clue as to what his reaction to that was. Whether equally as hard done by or just disappointed that things didn't work out for him.
I feel like it's the sort of thing where he's just still in shock, and like I don't even know if at this point the character knows how he's going to sort of take this, how he's going to sort of react. I think he's still just kind of a bit stunned that the way that it's worked out for him, not exactly the way that he wanted.
Get the feeling they're going to follow his character just a little bit more, though, which is very cool. I'm glad for that. Even if he didn't spend any more time on Ferrix, just on Milana 1 in that episode, on the whole. wasn't quite sure what planet he returned to, and it was his mother's, his parents' apartment
Yeah,
block. I wasn't
like
quite
it,
sure
the
if that was
locale,
Ferrix
like,
or somewhere else.
yeah, I don't know. It was giving me Coruscant vibes because of like the trains and stuff.
Just the scale, yeah.
Yeah.
A lower level.
He's got a sort of a
rudimentary.
prim and proper. It sort of feels like it's Coruscant or Empire aligned a little bit.
Interesting thing was that his mother wasn't. She was quite mixed in terms of her reaction. Not immediately pleased to see him.
Yeah, I love that. It was just like,
but obviously
ooh,
pleased to see him. So I
tension
think that
here.
implies that his move to go work for corporate security in that way was not sanctioned. It was not endorsed by his family, by his parents.
Yeah.
It may come into play in terms of, I don't know, maybe I'm stretching it. It might come into play in terms of where he ends up going, maybe.
Yeah, well, it didn't exactly look like the Empire was like giving him a job. We don't really know.
No, he was just thrown under the bus.
They're sort of like, yeah,
can't go to there.
hand over your stuff, you failed, we don't like you.
Completely thrown under the bus. all of them, all three of them, including the actual inspector.
Yeah, the guy was like, I wasn't even doing anything. I was like, why am I going to get in trouble? It's like, it was sort of the very, schoolyard, getting pulled in front of the principal.
Lots of name dropping. They talked about
the planets, yeah.
Avada 6 was thrown in there. Avada 7 was obviously from the Mandalorian. That's the ice planet where the Razor Crest gets pointed with. Reference to Mimban. There's one other on the tip of my tongue. I can't think what it was though.
Yeah, I know what you mean. We got Umbara reference later on, not in that scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was something else that was like, ooh, but yeah, my brain's just like,
I'm trying to think if it was Rogue One because it's the same.
Scarif.
From Rogue One. Scarif, of course, duh.
Yeah, it's like Rogue One. Scarif, yes.
Yeah,
yeah, they mentioned a Scarif.
Yeah, and flying. Yeah, they're talking about materials being shipped to Scarif. So let's take it out of there.
I pick up metals.
Those two don't work. They never work.
They worked for me.
Oh, you
sorry.
did?
I got them.
Okay. Yeah, I guess the other main talking point, the main plot development was the extent to which Luthen Rael is living a double life.
Oh yeah, because I think most fans will have noticed that his hair is different. And I was like, it's a flashback?
I was wondering if that was a
No, it's
flashback.
not.
No.
It's
So the reality there is that his wigged look is actually his primary persona, and his shorter hair look is his his off-world
undercover
persona, undercover.
Yeah, so it turns out that he's not a senator or sort of involved in that kind of realm. Obviously, he would rub shoulders with it, but he seems to be sort of like basically a gallery owner, as sort of like relics and antiquities and things that wealthy people.
We didn't see him in other
capacities,
to the emerging rebellion, because he's not part of the Senate level of the rebellion.
Yeah.
He's just a facilitator in other ways.
Yeah.
That's quite a cool way to handle it. So he meets with Mon Mothma. They're suspicious because Mon Mothma's got a different driver, and she's talking about really being under scrutiny. Spies in the Senate reporting to the Empire because they're not. I mean, ultimately, the Senate is not
Imperial.
part of the Imperial plan.
Yeah.
Not part of the long-term plan.
And they know that there may be people that were sort of on the line of, I mean, largely a lot of those episodes, the scenes were largely cut from episode 3, but we know that there were a lot of senators that didn't approve of Palpatine's sort of direction, and I guess he and the Empire at large doesn't know how much of that sentiment still exists, how many people would have been sort of, still have their heart in that sort of cause. Obviously, we know the likes of Bail Organa, Mon Mothma would be sort of carrying that on. I like the name drop of Slimore in there.
Yeah. And
I'm hoping we see her, because that would be fun.
Yeah, that's entirely possible, because that's didn't speak in the prequel trilogy. Doesn't need to be a developed character here, just a visible character for it to be fun.
Yeah. Next one.
And strong reference struck to the notion that Mon Mothma's at odds with the policies and positions of the likes of Sly Moore, who are, quite closely aligned with Palpatine.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't she at the opera?
Yeah.
With Palpatine?
Yes.
She nods and gets out of the set, and he's like, "Leave us."
I think.
She's in his inner circle. She's on the platform with him.
Yep.
In one of the scenes, the little podium.
Sly Moore and Massamita.
Yeah. Clearly,
Massamita.
Yeah.
Oh, it should be cool to see the Senate and see a fair bit of possibility.
Yeah.
Reference
just
to
like
another prequel material.
Some scene of, her sort of watching Palpatine announce something, or, just ooh.
Doesn't need to be an interaction, it could just be from a distance, just in terms of context.
Yeah.
Did you just shoot one of your own dudes there?
Oh, I just said it. I forgot.
And he just made him scavenge
his own brother. Oof.
I forgot that these guys were prominent here.
Yeah. Big golf droids on legs.
Yeah, they're funny blocky droids. They're not at the time they weren't the coolest sort of design in the game, but they're kind of quirky enough to be fun now that we've got pretty much what development in terms of graphics assets.
Nice.
Yep,
still got a bit to go.
So as we said, these are some of our lower level secondary, tertiary characters, so they're not at end game level just yet. There's a recent increase in the level cap for those that aren't familiar with the game.
So we're leveling our characters from 75 to 80. Yeah, I like where this is going. I was curious whether we were gonna see any of the characters from the original sort of planet, continuing what the aftermath was from all of that. Looks like we didn't get a sense of that. We may not go back to that planet and see what they're all doing about what happened.
Yeah, that would be a little bit of a shame. I mean, the episode was reasonably long. It was clocked in at just under 15 minutes. But again, having just had a really big hit last week, it didn't feel long enough by any stretch. We'll have to wait till next week to see where it goes. We'll of course watch this one again. Yeah. Probably tonight.
Yep. We did that once or twice, so that it's become a habit. We watch it, we stream and talk about it and kind of get our thoughts out and kind of a bit constructed, and then we jump back in and watch it again.
First 3 episodes really made a lot more sense the second time around.
Yeah. And the third time I really got a good bearing for what everything's happening and could focus on the nuances and minor details.
Yeah.
Just gonna do a little bit of tidying. But yeah, it was interesting and quite fresh with the new locales. We finally get Mon Mothma. And yeah, the first one sort of felt, while not every scene was with Andor or from Andor's perspective, it was predominantly sort of following his storyline. And now we've got this sort of branching out. We've got the Imperials dealing with the aftermath of what happened. We've got the more political Coruscant side, and then we've got Cassian himself, under the guise of his father's name, with this small sort of rebel band that's gonna sort of pull a mission, storming the garrison, on this sort of remote planet.
Saw some of that in the trailer, and I guess we'll get that next week. Walking on top of the dam, for instance, and I think there's TIE fighters flying over it and so forth.
It's always fun seeing TIE fighters. It's such an iconic noise, and just such an iconic vehicle.
Well,
it's fun to see them in there.
Rebels, when TIE fighters first showing up in Rebels, it was really interesting to see them in atmospheric flight, because earlier on in the original trilogy we saw them in space around Death Star. And
so you never really got a sense of scale or sort of, I don't know, there's just something fun about seeing them in a more sort of tangible real world setting, because they're sort of imposed on a real footage on Earth.
I often ask myself, what's my favourite vehicle? Is it a TIE fighter or an X-Wing? And I'm really not sure if I'm fully settled on that.
Yeah, some people feel very strongly about one or the other, but there's definitely a lot of debate points on either side.
Iconic for completely different reasons. Right, so we'll continue this just for a little bit longer. Coruscant was quite short.
Do you want to do Nar Shaddaa for a Coruscant feel? Yeah?
Yeah, why not?
We'll do something different to last week.
Yeah, for sure.
Also a city planet, perhaps a little bit more underworldly than what we're going to see of Coruscant. I hope we get some sort of confirmation as to whether the deputy went home to Coruscant. It didn't give us like a different planet. It did sort of say Coruscant. I'm pretty sure it said Coruscant when we got there, so that we knew. But that one, it didn't necessarily say. My brain thought we were watching Luthen Rail go somewhere, because it was just sort of a person wearing a cloak. And then I realized, it's him. So what's up?
Yep.
And then I realized, we're getting to see what's going to happen after him. And I was like, yes, because he was such an interesting character, and we don't really know how he came out of that. He's kind of shocked at the end when the speeders exploded, and he knows that people have died and they didn't even catch the people and all this kind of stuff, and he got outwitted and outmatched and all that kind of stuff. So I'm so glad that we're actually going to get to see a continuation of his storyline.
So David's just joined us in chat. It's an interesting episode. Bit of darkness here and there in terms of definitely conflict. Definitely a lot of
we didn't have much humor at all in this one. We can see how deathly serious the small rebel band feels, that they're like terribly paranoid about Cassian,
who fears being exposed. Obviously, he comes in on a speeder bike. So absolutely a lot of tension on all fronts. Andor's completely in a new environment.
I think this is really going to test his sort of spy skills. He's not trying to infiltrate them in a malicious sense per se, but he has to kind of
he's operating with the Central Empire now rather than a sort of regional or peripheral empire. I would think.
Well, it sounds like he's had experience, because he talked about wearing the Imperial uniform and spitting in their food and stuff like that. So he knows enough about the Empire to get a sense of a garrison. He's like, ooh man, that's big. That's a little bit more a lot riskier with the security involved and all that sort of stuff. So he knows enough to know what he's getting into. And I can't wait to see how that's going to play out.
If we see the operation that I've been referring to in this episode next week, that's on the planet with the dam and the atmospheric TIE fighters and the sort of islands and so forth. Just trying to think what else It's shown up in the trailer that we don't get a lot of reference to. I'm not sure if there's a whole lot, so that would kind of, correct me if I'm wrong, but that would kind of imply that the second half of the season is going to be stuff we haven't seen in the trailer.
Yeah.
Can you think of anything in the trailer that we
I think
haven't
I've got to
seen,
sit down and watch the trailer again. You know, like when
Because
there's a part of me that doesn't want to be too familiar with it, so you know, your brain's like trying to piece together bits and pieces, and sometimes it sort of takes the fun out of it.
And the bell ringing dude and the exploding speeder.
Yeah, that was fun.
And the tech pods coming into land on Ferrix, and then it had a little bit about the dam and Andor and an Imperial officer trying to infiltrate the garrison on Arlani. Ardani? Which one was it?
I think it's Arlani.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah,
Could
there's
be
a
with
lot
the
more
date.
episodes to tell after.
Yeah, there's so much to go. Because yeah, we haven't even touched on Saw Gerrera and the Rebels.
No.
Like as we think of them, you know, the Rebel Alliance.
Hinted at in the trailer, but it's not given away in terms of what it means, where he is, what he's doing. Makes reference to war.
Yeah.
But not a location specifically, I don't think. So I think the only reference to Coruscant we're going to get is Luthen Rail and Mon Mothma.
Yep.
But most of the action will take place elsewhere. Where are we up to in terms of count? 7 out of 10?
Yeah, we're missing some.
Looking forward to seeing actual stormtroopers and or clone troopers at some point.
Yeah, it kind of feels like a slow tease on that front. They know what people... Yeah. That you're going to do a show about the Empire. People want to see the Empire. We got a little bit of a glimpse of some of the Imperial officers that wear helmets and stuff like that in the building. You can sort of see the backs of some of the helmets and stuff like that. Yeah. I liked seeing all the sort of Imperial officers and the sort of the infighting and the way that they're constantly making reference to their career and climbing the ladder and all that kind of stuff. Like we always sort of, you know, get the sense that, you know, Sith are quite ruthless with the way that they sort of advance their careers, but it's sort of fun seeing that we get a hint of it with Krennic. You know, he wants to make sure that his achievements have been sort of, you know, counted against his career. He wants to make sure that he gets some proper credit for all of that, and I kind of see that a little bit here as well. People looking for the opportunity to try and sort of pull jurisdiction. You know, they want the career advancement, which I thought was fun.
So we're done on the mobs that we need.
Okay, sure.
He's down to the next objective for this particular quest.
I think I'm turned
I've
around
never noticed.
this way.
Well, I've never noticed the shadows up on that.
Yeah, because you've got shadows on yours.
Yeah.
Now.
No, I'll just find our way through. If they're in our way, they're not hard.
Yep. And they're dropping purple tokens because it's Nar Shaddaa.
Yeah. So we're on Nar Shaddaa now, which in this timeline, and in fact in the original trilogy, later timelines, is basically a hut, occupied world. It's the moon of the hut homeworld, from memory. So it's a well-developed city planet, but there's a lot more overt underworld goings on.
It's possibly like probably in this game, Zakul is probably closer to Coruscant in terms of setup, but there's not as much dailies to do there. It's a very story-heavy planet, so we're just gonna.
No, it's not as glamorous here as it's busy and there's neon and lights and entertainment, but it's not polished and got certainly the Coruscant is, but it's certainly got the depth and scale.
So we didn't get any more of B, the cute droid.
No.
Don't know if we will see him again.
And yeah, I don't know if we'll see him again. A little bit of shame he died.
Yeah, and no Marver. Obviously, he is undercover. I did appreciate the good old Star Wars poncho. Minor little detail there. Let's go to his lab animals. Jump down to. What are the other touches I liked? I like the variety in this rebel band. They feel quite sort of, from different.
Yeah.
Got an Imperial. We've got sort of different people.
The smaller guy. I was wondering if they were implying that he had some force sensitivity when he was talking about the feel he was getting from people.
Yeah, I was wondering that a bit as well.
Just the ability to read people, if they're implying some degree of force empathy.
Yeah.
Because they seemed to really trust him when he said that. It wasn't just they took it pretty seriously.
Yeah. Which is an interesting take. We know that just because the Jedi aren't in control, that doesn't mean that there stops being force sensitive people. Oh, you can pick them up. Sorry, I've already started.
I'm gone. Okay, thanks one of this.
Yep, you can get this Bob.
Yeah, so they've been planning this operation for a while, living in the wilderness.
And it seems to be, really important. Everyone seems, deathly serious about it going ahead.
Yeah, well, it seems like a big opportunity with timelines, opportunities in terms of being able to escape, only really cropping up very, very occasionally.
Well, the conversation where Andor's being kind of filled in about the planet and stuff like that, it sounds like it is a sort of a major trade route. It would be a very tactically...
locals have been subjugated and shipped off or escaped or whatever, so they've had their way of life completely disrupted by the Empire. Saw interesting things in Lethan Rail's shop though. In the background, that was the one with the
that's
armor.
Gonna be like screen cap heaven, man.
Was obvious. A Wookiee armored cow.
Yeah, because that one reminded me straight of the action figures from episode 3. I was like, I recognize that.
Deep in the background, I'm pretty sure that was reference to our Horde from the.
We're gonna need one more than that group can give us.
Yeah, we do usually get a So, historic Sith.
Yeah.
From the Old Republic era, which is what we're playing. In fact, it's a wearable armor in this game. I don't think.
Yeah, I know. I don't have anybody wear it because it's.
No. Can you bring it up in collections on your screen?
Yes, I can.
Because the helmet, I'm pretty sure was.
It looked very much like this guy.
So bring it up on the screen so anyone that's not familiar with it.
Yeah, this helmet was quite distinctive. It definitely looked like
I
like
don't
this.
know enough about the rest of the armor. I just model design.
Yeah, it looked like this helmet on the mannequin, kind of by the checkout counter.
Yeah.
It definitely resembled this one, and even to a certain extent the armor worn with it as well. If I put all the bits on.
That's a really interesting touch. Someone's paying attention.
Yeah. I'm hoping, we get some other people with some keen eyes going, oh, that's a thing.
There's lots of little things, there's daggers and liners and so forth.
Because, that there were some cool details like that in Dryden Voss's ship. So it makes sense that, showrunners are paying attention to those sort of details.
Oh, sorry, I'm not following you. I'm just too busy thinking about I just thought that was really cool.
Yeah. And I wanted to get a closer look at the thing that he chooses for Mon Mothma to take.
Little embellished plaque.
Yeah, that looked cool. Don't know if it has any kind of significance or any kind of reference that people can identify. But yeah, I like the vibe of his shop, and the way that he is sort of acting as this, gallery owner, and the way that his aide was like scoping out the driver, and she's like, no, I don't recognize him, and the way that she knew to
trusted confidant.
Yeah.
He did say at some point if he can't be contacted, she'll know where to contact him.
Yeah.
That's our messages. So it's obviously some trust there.
Mandalorian rage.
Yep.
Yeah, and the way that she was like, oh, here, let me like show you some things over here. She's obviously very practiced at the way to sort of behave like a shopkeeper that's just kind of perhaps a little over eager to like, you know, be a good sales assistant and showing them bits and pieces to kind of keep them away so that they wouldn't necessarily notice the sneaky discussions going on. They're obviously well practiced in what they're doing. Obviously they'd have to sort of be working right under the nose of the Empire in Coruscant with what they're doing. I'm very, very keen to see. I hope this is not the last we're seeing of him. I hope that we continually get more scenes with him and Mon Mothma. And from a personal perspective, I love Mon Mothma's Coruscant apartment.
We will. I'm sure we'll see much more there. I found it very interesting that she was talking about lack of access to funds, and they were both talking about bringing someone else in. They didn't specify who that was. I don't know if that's someone who has access to funds. So I don't know if is it too early for Bail or too late for Bail Organa? It feels like it's quite early in the development of their inner circle, as they called it.
Yeah, especially because we got a lot of him in Kenobi. That might seem like a little bit obvious or a little bit like repetitive. People going, oh, they're just sticking him here, sticking him there.
Yeah, but he's just central to this part of the story. His role with Mon Mothma and down the line and Rogue One is inescapable.
Yeah.
So it'll be perfectly appropriate. I mean, it's not fan service per se. I mean, there's a relevant part of the story. In fact, I'm perfectly happy from the book Jimmy Smith's Bail Organa, and there's often as they want to get his character spread across the continuity, because it's still infinitely sad when we went back and watched Rogue One before this. Because Rogue One was written before Kenobi and so forth, obviously by some distance. So watching Rogue One where he makes reference to going back to Old One just let me know it's about to get exploded.
Yeah.
It was just painful. So
because we also got to know Brea a little bit better as well.
Yeah.
And of course she would have been lost at the same time.
Just about a camp, we've got plenty of room to.
Yep. We're
gonna get shipments of the bonus, aren't they? We need to focus on those just a tiny bit.
Yep, we can get this one without the mob. I think I go this way. Jump on my speeder. It actually felt like a decent length episode.
Yeah.
Sometimes you sort of feel like, oh no, that's the end of the episode when you realise that the credits are rolling and you're like, oh no.
There's a lot of story progression, things definitely happen.
Yeah. You almost forget how long the episode is.
There's plenty of establishing shots, but yeah, things definitely happened.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry,
I was already jumping the wrong way. Whoops.
Yeah, with the ammo. We leave, as long as we leave the banners, it doesn't matter how many mobs we kill.
Yep.
And we got any purple beams? We're after purple beams at the moment.
Yeah.
There you
go. Oh, Fhriday got some. Yep.
Alright, so 8 out of 10 shipments was there.
Another one. I think it was kind of funny that once on the planet, Cassian barely actually says anything at all.
Yeah.
It's mostly the other characters. And to be fair, we are, these are new characters. We're sort of getting introduced to them. I'm just going to grab this box over here.
That's an
I like that we're seeing another Imperial basically working with the rebels. We got that with Tala and Kenobi. I like the fact that the new
not
sort of series are showing the sort of the realism that not everyone in the Empire is just blindly obedient or just like homicidal. That there are people that are realizing that perhaps they didn't necessarily sign up for this, because when you think about the average perspective, the Sith have a pretty extreme view of the world, and maybe not everyone wants to do things that way. I wonder if we'll see either of the other two Primor officers that were sort of marched into.
I don't think their story arcs are quite as strong, so we
probably won't see them. They'll just be dismissed and disgraced, and off they go to sort of. But the main one. There's more story there.
No, I can't wait for this week.
I know we say that like every week, but it's always true. Like, you feel like you're just getting in there. Like, I know that I was hoping that we'd actually see a little bit of the start of whatever mission they're going to do, and I'm like, no, there's no way they can fit this in this episode. We're going to have to wait. But at the same time, you're like, I don't want to wait. I want to see it now.
Yeah, I guess it is cleaner just in terms of storytelling to leave it all next week, and that will probably be more satisfying next week, just to have that big focus.
Yeah.
And then having proved himself, I think we'll move on to bigger things potentially.
Yeah. We'll do more Gukai.
Yep.
So, what other details stood out to me this episode? No flashbacks.
No.
In this one. Possibly because we're now splintering into multiple threads. And I think it felt right. I think that the flashbacks work better if they're pertaining to very specific, pertinent events where we sort of have the flashback and it's like, oh, this
and is... they're cool enough for the story there, I think, as well. Yeah, no flashbacks. That's right there.
It was one of those ones where there wasn't any sort of shock reveals or anything like that. No. I like seeing Coruscant. It wasn't, an original trilogy planet, but it still feels very central to Star Wars. We know it's always kind of existed in there. It's not sort of one of these newly invented planets, like from the Mandalorian and stuff like that, which are cool, but they don't have quite the nostalgia. I particularly enjoy seeing Coruscant. It's such a central capital, and so much of the prequels takes place on Coruscant, whether it's the Senate or the Jedi Temple and things like that. We see the underground. We see Dex's Diner and the Outlander Club, and chasing Zam Wessel and all that kind of stuff. We see Padme's apartments. There's just a lot that happens on Coruscant.
Yeah, when we were doing that flyover, I was actually looking to see if there's anything recognizable. I thought that was a lot tougher.
Yeah.
That flyover makes sense.
Yeah, because my brain is always like, I wonder if they're going to give us something recognizable from from the prequels.
Well,
So a secret meeting
the
place,
Senate,
like
the Senate building in particular, it's
yeah.
not going anywhere. It's even the Jedi Temple, when you go to Jedi, there, I presume is still going to be standing at this point.
Yeah. It wasn't one of those episodes that kind of made you like gasp or like, oh my gosh type ones.
No, we don't need that every single time. That
Yeah.
Can get a bit tiring. I was just thinking, the notion that we're not going to see K2SO in this season, but wouldn't be bad to see a KX series droid.
Yes.
It'd be a fun.
Yeah, because that was a fun. What was that in? Flashback and something where we saw them patrolling. Is that in Kenobi or?
Book of Boba Fett. They were like the
That's right.
style droids.
Yes, yeah, and it made them so sort of menacing and imposing. I quite enjoyed that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm hoping that we do see them in that capacity.
That design's really great on this droid on the KX droids and.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I almost don't think we've got a lot of K2SO action figures.
No, not really.
We should have. We got the Hot Toys was really cool. There was, in fact, there was a Book of Boba Fett KX series version, specifically based on that scene. And
I think he's very top heavy. The design. He kind of needs like a base to stand up. Yeah. You almost need the face.
Got a Black series, but with the remedy there.
Yeah. Yeah, because we haven't seen many of the Rogue One or that kind of related ones, the Black Series figures in New Zealand, sadly.
Yeah.
Saw Guerrera's here in large numbers, but I haven't really seen much.
I think
we got a few back during Rogue One in the old school boxes.
It was Mandalorian that got us into the Black Series. We were really focusing on 3.75 back then. So we didn't get even. I think KG was available, but we just didn't get him.
Yeah.
Like remedy that, like I say. I don't know. I wouldn't actually hate having the life size.
Yes.
USO statue.
Yes. That would be very cool.
Okay. We've got 4 out of 5. We'll do one more here.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think.
Which one's? Doesn't have to be a short one.
We'll just do the top one. I'm starting to lose track about which ones are which because I don't do Republic side Nar Shaddaa very often. I tend to do Imperials more often. But yeah, I wasn't expecting to get quite as many threads in this episode. Like the deputy was a surprise bonus. I was happy to see them again, and we're basically seeing that they're like, okay, you guys are screwing around, so we're just going to basically declare that the Imperials are going to take over that planet, which, to be honest, they're probably just looking for excuses to declare that on every planet. They're like, okay, we let you corporations do it, but no, we're just going to come in and do it. As soon as they have the sort of the manpower and the resources to do it, they just say, yeah, we're going to take over, and there's going to be stormtroopers here doing your job now. I'm glad that we haven't seen the last of him. And I don't know, because of his, I guess, telling off by the Imperials, I don't know if he's necessarily going to be Imperial aligned.
No, I don't. No, that's not clear.
It didn't give me that vibe. I mean, I could be wrong, but I didn't get that vibe that he's going to be particularly enamored with them.
He was focused on his career trajectory within corporate security.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily imply that he has any love for the Empire, just that he has
ambition,
love for the sort of organizational aspects of or even just that job security. Yeah, his story could go either way.
Oh, I'm getting lag, drat. Oh, that's gonna mess up my stream. Come on, no. Oh, it's giving me...
So send it in. Often you've got a problem.
No. That's frustrating.
Is it stable?
Yeah, it's intermittent. So we'll see.
Okay, well.
Yeah. Definitely delayed. Right.
Okay. Well, we'll play this one out. It's probably about where we were going to wrap things anyway. So hopefully you can still hear us even if there's lag going on.
Yeah. Almost never get lag with this game.
Oh, it's been a long time since we've running everything on a pretty high-speed network here. Inside the house and outside the house.
Guess I was hoping for a few big moments, something to really talk about. It was a little bit of a quieter episode, and you expect every show to have those quieter moments. It can't be just action-paced. You get that kind of what is it? Kind of like the sort of just that combat fatigue where it's just constant stuff, and you don't really get sort of the same character progression because you're just kind of constantly fighting and shooting and running, and it's just it gets a bit much.
No, you need the balance in storytelling. You need to. You can't tell every story with action. There's other aspects of storytelling you just need to lean into sometimes.
Yeah, but I enjoy like taking these streams to just sort of go through and think about the things that really stood out to me. And I've been so excited to see more Mothma. That was one of the things that I was hoping we'd get in those first 3 episodes. We didn't, so I'm glad we didn't have to wait too long. It was pretty early on that we weren't waiting to like the very end of the episode to see her. I think it was interesting that they seem to have written her a rather sort of very typical Coruscant husband. He seems more interested in society and gossip and
social
fun than she is, because she seems really upset with him. That he doesn't actually care about what she's trying to achieve with her career. He's more interested. He's obviously seems like she's the one that has the money and he's the one that is enjoying the parties and things like that, which is an interesting... You always think of Mon Mothma as this kind of pillar of the Rebel Alliance, and she's just all for the cause and the honor and sort of devoting her life to it. And it's kind of an interesting thing that she's basically... It seems like she's having to hide from her husband. That he would be the sort of the people that he is associating with would turn her sort of arrest her in a heartbeat if they knew just an inkling of what she was doing, how sort of paranoid she is. It gives us that sort of that very terror feel, because she can't even relax in her own home. She's having to keep on that guarded face even around her husband and potentially her staff. Because her staff could potentially tattletale to her husband, who seems to be friends with Sly Moore and the like. Didn't catch the planet that she said was having the sort of the trade route interrupted. She was making reference to.
I don't think it was.
Don't know if it was an already established planet or not. There's so many references. I know people will be going over everything with a fine-tooth comb on that sort of second and third viewing. Particularly if you watch it with subtitles, you can sort of catch planet names and bits and pieces a little bit more clearly sometimes than just relying on listening to it. guess we should just do. I'll do hired guns.
Yeah, why not?
Looks like my lag has settled. But yeah, no humor in this one. A little bit sort of desperate because we didn't have a win in this one as such. We're sort of getting the desperation that people are feeling, and to be fair, that kind of does fit with this kind of the storytelling. Things are going to simmer to a point where they just boil over, you know. So we're in the kind of the simmering point where things are building up. We're in that sort of tension that builds before something snaps and people have to.
Per se, but Luthen Rail, he did make reference to potential paths that Andor could take, and one of them was being in it till death.
Yeah. Which makes me wonder
foreshadowing.
If, like, because we don't know, we know we've gotten Cassian's backstory. We don't know if Luthen himself has a tragic backstory to account for his dedication to the cause. I'm gonna go fight in this direction towards where we have to go.
I mean, he's a great character, and I think we're going to get strongly invested in him, but I'm going to brace myself for the fact that he might not make it through the entire seasons.
I know, because I know we've got to like obviously Rogue One was kind of iconic in being that sort of, you know, we got invested in these characters, and then slowly one by one they all get sort of meet their fate.
So I'm going to make that assumption now, because I'd rather be
emotionally prepared for it. And we know from the outset that Cassian is going to make it, because he has to for Rogue One, but all of these other characters, with the exception of Mon Mothma, we don't know where they're going to end up, and that's kind of, you know, unique. We know where Vader was going to end up in Obi-Wan. We know that Mando's not going to die. He's the headline, you know, character of the show. He's not going to die. Boba Fett, we were fairly certain they weren't going to kill off. Didn't necessarily know for sure, but we're fairly certain there. So for these ones, we've got one character two, I guess, Mon Mothma and Cassian, that we know are going to make it to the end of the show alive. Everyone else is kind of fair game, so it's really hard to know how invested we're going to get. And that was one of the splendid choices with Rogue One. We got fully invested in all the characters, so their sacrifice for the Empire and the greater good. So now when we watch, you know, A New Hope, and we're like, oh my gosh, you know, like, it's so desperate tooth and nail how hard these people are fighting to save their lives. We saw, you know, and now we even with the oh, my speed is so slow, with the footage that we got on Alderaan, that adds to the desperation that we see in, you know, that it adds a depth to Leia's sorrow, because we see her planet, we see her family, we see her life there as a child, you know, and we always have, well, you know, most of us are fortunate to have lives with fond memories of our childhood, so it sort of adds that sting more. So A New Hope is just not necessarily that all of these episodes just serve to just make A New Hope more depressing, but they add more of a sort of a weight to what the rebels are up against and what they accomplish in that, that, you know, we didn't necessarily see firsthand in that one. We know what's on stake, but this time we get to see it.
The thing that's
I've got one more bonus. One more bonus.
The thing that I'm quite curious about is the fact we know that these two seasons, so then the next season, runs directly into Rogue One, and I'm really curious to see how literal that is, how close that is to the timeline of Rogue One.
Oh no, I shot another mob. I got turned around. That was me. We've got somebody
someone else
following our kills. Oh well. And of course, I'm curious as to whether we'll get, not to say that they have to stick him in everything, but whether we get a reference to Vader. We know that there's possibly better chance of Palpatine because of the Senate. But we don't know how much of a involvement Vader has in the Senate, if at all. How aware is the public at large of Darth Vader and who he is?
Yeah.
Bloodsport?
Yep. This is definitely one I don't do very often.
I did it the other day.
When you're looking for your purple reputation
Yeah.
drops.
I guess it's one that back in the day was a little bit hard because there was a lot of mobs, and the Gamorrean guards really knock you around. So it used to hurt, but now not so much. Especially for groups. Smush, smush, smush. Yeah.
A couple of range with decent AoEs. Things up.
See that knockback. They're running. Got my cool disintegrating gun. I barely landed before I was getting knocked back.
Yeah. Also, the time that's only one of us gets knocked back.
Yeah.
The other one sort of
Stands there and watches.
Change it. Well, yeah, then change ups in.
Yeah.
Air chambers over there. Look at that more in the corner.
There you go. I watched.
And we're just on the corner there.
Makes me wonder if we're going to see much outside of these planets now. Whether, because we know at some point we're going to get Saw Gerrera. He was in the trailer. We haven't encountered him yet. We don't know. I'm assuming that we're going to get that this op is not going to take the rest of the season.
No.
And we're going to get another planet somewhere.
I think the 12 episodes are going to be not just episode, but broken into chapters. Like the first chapter was the first 3 episodes, and I suspect that this chapter, the next 1 or 2, will be a semi-distinct chapter. So there'll be another. There's got to be some other main story development.
Got to do 7 more
What do we
people.
need? Hello, recording.
Yeah, I got to do 7 more people before we do that.
Perfect.
Here comes the goal for me. Right, nope, I can't even stun him before he gets me.
Oops, I grabbed the wrong one.
Ah, more is good. No.
Stay in one place already. Come
What's
on.
that?
Oh, they split out.
Yeah. See, back in the day, this was hard. Because the golds and silvers together back in the day would hurt. We'll go this way.
Yeah, well, it's quite close to the last crate we need as well.
Almost done. So we go up here. It's an evil Droopy McCool.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not shows you see that often in this game.
No. I always remember this one for that guy. His a portrait is kind of just down the bottom. It's funny.
Which is weird because he's not small, he's not short.
Yeah. So I don't know if we want to do the last one or whether we...
No, we don't need
call it there.
We can round things out. We've broken through the hour, which is a good...
which is what we usually do. Talk for an hour, sort of go through.
We do other streams during the week where we just play and talk, but when we talk about Andor, the Disney Plus shows, we go shoot for about the hour mark of conversation.
Yeah, we talk about Star Wars in general, play SWTOR, talk about collecting and Star Wars hobbies in general.
Yeah. Some of our streams, some of our non-Andor streams will possibly be a little bit longer, just how much gameplay we want to get.
Yeah, we recently checked out the Manaan area that was added in the recent expansion. Manaan, of course, being a planet that was involved in the first Knights of the Old Republic game, so there's sort of nostalgia there for people that love KOTOR. You get to sort of do a little bit more exploration on the planet in this game, which is fun. Lots of little nods and references to that original game in here, and I always enjoy it. The Manaan area is quite cool. Tried our hand at the new heroics there, the 2+ and the 4+, and the 4. They were fun. But yeah, I guess that's it for about as much as we could sort of recollect and sort of discuss for the 4th episode of Andor. I don't know about you guys, but we're about to go watch it for the second time.
Yep.
Here in New Zealand, we just had daylight saving, so Andor used to start screening at 7 p.m. It is now closer to 8 for us, but that's still quite a reasonable time in the evening for us to watch it, stream for an hour, and then go back and watch it again before getting a not too late night. We do very much enjoy being able to watch Star Wars. We know we're very fortunate at being one of the few time zones that gets Star Wars at a reasonable hour. I know some Americans, it ends up being in the night for them. So we're very fortunate in New Zealand. Very glad that with streaming we get it the exact same minute that the Americans do, not like movies where sometimes we get things delayed. That was always some hell back in that old era where we were stuck trying to sort of avoid the internet for spoilers. But I guess that's it for now. We're going to go watch Andor again. Thank you so much for all of you that came along and listened to us chatter about Andor and SWTOR. We really enjoy these streams. Yeah. Thanks for watching. See you next time, and may the Force be with you.
Yep, more of the same next time. Take it easy, everyone.
If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a like, check out our other videos, and subscribe for alerts about new uploads. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.